of your paper, and if you have
Sir, I have already sent my PPT.
I don't see yeah,
and it is told that it is uploaded already.
Has it been uploaded? Then we have to get in touch with Raghavendra. Raghavendra is the technical person for us. I'll just check with him.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
He has muted himself.
Hello, sir.
Raghavendra?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here, sir. Hello, Girija madam. ITfC. Hello.
Girija. Right, Raghavendra.
Sir, I make your presenter.
Okay.
Can you?
Whom you will make?
See, the first presenter
Abhijit
is...
will you make presenter? Sir, Abhijit Naha. Sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I will make you presenter. You can click the plus button on left corner and you can upload your PPT because I didn't got your PPT. Okay, now I will make you, I will guide you how to do that.
Yes, tell me. Because it was told it is uploaded.
Sir, already the PPTs are uploaded. Just a minute, sir. 1 second.
Because it was told to me.
No, she has done it. Girija madam from ITfC. I don't know. She'll upload.
Yes, this is me.
Yeah.
Abhijit, sir, is this your PPT?
Yeah.
Yes, madam.
Yes,
this
madam.
is my PPT.
Sir, I make you a presenter. You can move the slides.
Okay. Where to go?
Whenever you want, you can move the slide.
Okay, where I have to go?
1 second, sir.
That 4 arrows.
So, yeah, you will get a arrow mark.
Okay.
Please continue, sir.
Okay. Okay, I have got it.
Thank you.
So non-presenters can go off the screen. They can switch off their videos, and also please be on mute so that we can listen only to the speaker. This is a general instruction. Abhijit, your time starts now. Right.
Okay. Good afternoon to the chairperson of the session, Dr. Mohanraj sir, to all other presenters and participants. I am Abhijit Naha, Assistant Professor, Department of Languages, Dr. NSM First Grade College, Bengaluru, 89. At the outset of my presentation, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to the Director of RIESI and the members of the organizing committee for giving me the opportunity to present my paper in this platform today. In my presentation today, I throw light on the title of my presentation. We all know that there is no substitute of the offline classes. There is no substitute of the offline classes, we know very well, particularly for the teachers of English literature who not only teach the students, but also act to make the characters alive, to help the students to visualize each and every character of the story or novel or drama or poetry. As we know, visualization creates tremendous impact in the minds of the students. Therefore, it is very, very important for us. But unfortunately, when there is no proper visibility, how do we create visual impact? What I am missing very much in online classes. Therefore, I feel this online mode of teaching is not a desirable option, but a compulsion to save ourselves from COVID-19. We are not prepared to switch over to this online mode in the month of March, April 2020, when there was an outbreak of COVID-19 was noticed in different parts of our country. As we were not mentally prepared and there was lack of infrastructure, naturally there was a big challenge before the teachers how to run the classes in online modes, and therefore there was a need of innovations. I'm not only considering the students from big cities of India, I'm also talking about the students from other towns, small towns, and rural areas of our country. The challenges was very tough, but patiently we have searched the ways to continue the classes in online mode. I'm going to slide 1. That is slide 2, actually. Sir, is it visible to you, sir? Hello, sir. Thank you, sir. You see, sir, in my slide 2, I have mentioned the teachers are learning different tools related to online teaching. It is a big challenge for the language teachers, particularly during this pandemic time, to teach effectively.
It's visible now.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Because we are generally use the conventional way to teach the students in literature classes. So it was really a tough time for us that how do we teach the students effectively the way we used to teach the students. So it was a challenge for us, but gradually we have adopted online teaching, and now we are using different tools and apps. In my next slide, yes, this is some of the platforms, online communication platforms that we are using widely across India during COVID-19 and even in the future if required. And here I would like to say that I am talking about the student of tertiary level. As I am teaching in a college, I am considering the students of the tertiary level. That's why I am using these apps, talking about these apps. Now, in this slide, I try to show the difficulties of our young students are facing. We are realizing their problems and we are concerned towards their difficulties. Students from lower income group are mostly affected. It is a big responsibility of teachers to understand them and to deal with them with utmost care. So where I'm teaching, the students are mostly from the rural areas. And I know personally that what kind of problems they are facing. Most of the time, they don't have the connectivity. Even those good students who are very good in my classes when there was offline classes, suffering a lot, and which actually make me worry. In my next slide, yeah, this is an important part of the whole online process, the assessment procedure. And here, so is it visible, sir? Or, sir?
It's available.
It's visible. It's visible to me.
Visible to you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So in this slide, I have talked about some of the measures that how we can make the assessment of the learning levels of the students. This is the area where I am very much worried, because when we teach the students how far they have understood, there is no proper calibration of that. And most of the times, students are not responding properly. And this is sometimes they are making, that is, there is poor connectivity. Sometimes they are telling that they are not listening me properly. There are lots of, that is, the reasons are there, what we are discussing every day and trying to sort it out. The most important step to encourage the students to become self-regulated learner, which help them to become self-sufficient. Here, I'm thinking we should work very much how to make the students self-regulated learners, because if they become self-regulated learners, they can prepare themselves and they can help themselves to write the exams properly without much depending on the teachers. Because while we are teaching the students, students are very much depending on teachers for all those study materials. This kind of teaching on online mode may change the style of teaching and learning process. There should be a balance between allocated time and completion of syllabus, if possible to cut short the syllabus also. And this is the area, the classroom research. Here I mentioned the need of creating an atmosphere of physical classroom through collaborative learning process in the virtual setting. I also mentioned about a smooth integration of technology and teaching process to make online classes successful. And this will take little time, I feel, because we are also learning, our students are also learning, but we have to move forward. We have to adopt all kind of innovative techniques, and we need to teach effectively to our students because they are really passing through a very, very tough time. And many students are very much worried that they are missing the offline classes, and they are just trying to cope up with the situation. And this was a brief presentation from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. You took a minute less than you had. Okay, that's very, very kind of you. Can we now go to the what is this music? Yeah, okay. Before we take up discussion, invite questions on Abhijit's presentation. Shall we move to Aluvelu Manga's presentation? So after 3 presentations, we will take up the questions. Aluvelu Manga, it's your turn now. Could you come over? And Abhijit, please switch off your PPT.
Ma'am, Girija ma'am.
1 second, ma'am. I will do that.
Do you have a PPT?
1 second. 1 second, sir. Mangala Velu. That's right, ma'am. This is it, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I make you a presenter. You can move the slide, madam.
Okay. So just give me your topic and you can start.
Very good afternoon to the chairperson, Dr. Mohan Raj sir. Good afternoon to my co-presenters. And my topic is innovations and challenges, impact on teaching language on incorporating values. My paper is to examine the challenges dealing with the language incorporating values. The language challenge is to enable the learners to meet and practice specific feature language wherein values also are incorporated. The language allowing the learners in the class communicative skills based values they would need in the real world, activate logical and psycho-linguistic process of learning. We are not just fighting an epidemic, we are an infodemic. Language's role has to become more resilient. To the Herculean task of remote teaching and learning, teaching community should widely adapt and advocate value-based language teaching. Next. To understand how well we are adapted to the new normal, I conducted an exclusive survey in the month of June for select parents and student groups to list their experience in teaching and learning. A mode of combination of oral and written questions. Here you can see on the slide voice of teachers, voice and voice of parents. The responses are, these are the responses gathered. Next. Based on their responses, language teachers in imparting values with language skills have hit a roadblock with online mode of teaching. To make it in a real classroom situation, ESL teachers can make one. They lower inhibitions by making them play guessing games, communications, role plays, skits, their songs, use group works, laugh with the students, have them share fears in small groups, encourage risk-taking by praising for their sincere efforts to try, use fluency exercise, where are not corrected at that time, give out assignments to speak. They also build students' self-confidence, have them make lists of their strengths, of what they know or how accomplished so far in the course. They help students developing intrinsic motivation. They promote cooperative learning, wonderful value. They encourage students to use right brain processing. For example, while teaching reading, teachers inculcate several sub-skills to make the students adapt complex values like author's attitude, understanding, arguments, techniques, denotations, etc. In a class, language teacher can easily expose learners to language produced life, skills, and values. Creates opportunities for learners, participation, learners' motivation by using all words when they try to showcase their value. It engages all types of learners at all levels of language and different sets of priorities by using graded or teaching material. Promotes ambiguous. They help students use their intuition, get students to set their own goals and to make their mistakes work for them. Also, expose the students to the values involved in behavior, greetings, introduction, apologizing, thanking, express likes and dislikes, polite behavior, agreeing and disagreeing, group discussions, wherein they learn to and go in for mutual respect, help decision-making capacity. But teaching with technology can be complicated for an ESL teacher because of social and contextual factors while dealing with the sub-skills and values. Teacher cognition is her or his beliefs, knowledge, attitudes, images, assumptions, and concepts of teaching. It's only a languager who can bring a sort of awareness concerning irrespective of the branch or area or poetry or drama or grammar or any writing. Next slide. Too much information. I mean, after the findings, the survey reveals that values are not being inculcated during online teaching. Here, feedback is quite limited. Too much information, exposure to the online data, videos, graphics, not reliable or always authentic. Lack physical and emotional connect with the teachers. Casual approach to learning because there is no dress code, lack of discipline in using button, etc. Lacks experiential and ritualistic exposure. I mean to talk about the morning assembly proceedings. They are not able to attend the morning assembly wherein many values are imbibed unconsciously and spontaneously. So the dichotomy between theory and practice, the ability of the language teacher to observe and make corrections in the form of gestures, words, TPR, that is total, response, personal not found there. Slow bloomer, monitoring and very, very poor. And next. Here, I only propose to customize the curriculum per each group and redefine the teacher-student class, focus on in-service training that can include online teaching techniques, technical training, and it is highly recommended to bring about a strategic teaching model to integrate inquiry-oriented teaching, so emotional learning activities to help skills like self-advocacy and working in groups. Simulated classroom experiences encourage using grammar, vocabulary, intonation, pause, stress, and context. Make authentic reading resource available. Avoid copying and pasting what we see in online every day. Teaching no skills instead of banking only on recording. And launch awareness campaigns for parents, students, and teachers. Mr. Abhijit Naha already had shared some of the game-changing online platforms just now. I would like to conclude by saying to overcome the challenge, the key is not to build to get locked into one style of teaching, but to build a highly agile, flexible teaching model. This requires high and dedicated focus of educational parent and teacher community to develop a strategic model of ESL teaching with values. The model needs to aim at education, which is knowledge, which is not of facts but of values. Thank you for giving this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you very much, Manga and Miss Alavelu Manga. I tend to call you only as Manga for reasons of familiarity. Okay. Thank you very much. That was a beautiful presentation. Next, could we have the third presenter, Miss Asha Katikaneni. Miss Asha?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
You'll have to upload your presentation. And,
yeah, I have already shared in our group. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So, I'm Asha Katikaneni from Hyderabad, and this is my activity come the paper. It says,
excuse me, is this your PPT?
Yes.
I want to move. I make you a present. You can move the slides, madam.
May I now?
All the best, madam. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Shall I on the video or not?
You can on it, madam.
Oh, thank you. I'm Asha Katikaneni from Hyderabad. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'm really glad with this first online international conference. And my paper is about my status feature of the WhatsApp Messenger as a rescue platform to convey important occasions of students during the pandemic. And today's important occasion is Handshake Day. And due to this pandemic situation, again, we can't shake the hands and it's all through distance. And so here comes the importance and understanding of the various emojis. So that's about the learning that happened with my students on WhatsApp. May I move to the next slide, please? Objective slide, please.
You can move it, madam, on the arrow right side. Just click it will move. You are presenter now.
Okay. Why I'm unable to? Sorry, I'm unable to move it.
On the right side, you find arrow, madam. You just move that. It will go. Just slide it. It will go.
Yeah. Yes. So here is the meet. Thank you, sir. So we have come from offline to online, and the mostly available device is with the smartphone. And as I come from a government school, and families really zero with the laptop or the desktop. And so only device available is the smartphone. And of course, we all know that the widely used app is the WhatsApp. There's a sort of fascination towards it, so easily switched on to it. And so apart from the TV TSAT lessons, we have this WhatsApp groups also. So on this, it was happen. And it's all the activities about to motivate the students and encourage their participation in exploring, and also to give exposure to the language, then to make the students learn the interpretation skills. Earlier, all these years, they were watching my WhatsApp status and also reading the messages, but least understandable. And then when the actual situation has come, they very easily adopted it and they want to learn more. So I will be more clear with this in my next slide. So this is my journey with them. In various academic years, and how we did is on the chalk and board. And this is about the 2017 and 18. That was the World Teacher Day in the month of October. Then is the 18 and 19 National Girl Child Day in India. Then is the National Science Day in India on Feb 28th. So all this taken up as a warm-up activity or the cheer-up activity or an icebreaker in the sense to lead to the content, main content. So it's a matter of 10 minutes talk, and class was really full of cheerful gestures. So, and school is the best platform, as I mentioned there, to give a note of these important days as occasions, national or international, to our children. And I was dealing, in those years, I was dealing classes 4 and 5. Then is the, in this pandemic, I was allotted class 9 along with this. So the platform has shifted and now we have come to online. Yes, and like everybody, this shift was a troublesome initially, and still we are struggling and learning. But how did it happen? In the sense that because again it's WhatsApp and it's about the images which they are already doing their family things on my status feature. So students readily adapted it. That's how really it was a less effort for me. So instead of taking this into the supportive classroom groups on WhatsApp, then I took it to the My Status feature. So all these were posted there, and while posting, they were curious to learn, in the sense, explore more and more images. So that is one thing, and these are the recent things, in the sense, the last, our sportsman Milka Singh expiry, all that. And then this is the International Picnic Day, and there the boy writes that we can't go out because it's locked down. And this is a TSAT app, which we were instructing our parents and students to download the app and be ready for the classes. And today is the reopening of the schools in Telangana state, I should say that. And this CPD both is a beautiful coincidence. So my students did all this. They put on their WhatsApp status, and so we're encouraging one another. So all this were so beautifully taken, in the sense that very readily accepted and enthusiastic and explored more. And they started typing little phrases or words, because they are already doing birthday wishes or anniversary wishes or festival wishes. But the additional interpretational skills they learned are the alphanumerical and the emojis. So there is the more effort, or a task, I should say that, or the challenges which I put in the next slide. I'll move on to that now. To see this, these are my experiences. And this, as I already mentioned, they have fascination towards this feature. And because it's stress-free and there are no marks for it, but only learning and cheerful, and no grading for that, but qualitatively it happens, I should admit that, because it gave rejoice to me and also my students that yes, they are happy. And learning is happening. They are learning to use the words and phrases, hyphenated words, and then they're also learning to use the punctuation marks. And in addition to this, they are learning to use images and emojis, in the sense. And these emojis are so confusing. Even I got confused with the deciphering those emojis. There were instances that I used wrong emojis for a situation. So I have to make them learn all this. So this is really a wonderful thing. And I go back to the slide, this fourth one, to say that initially they couldn't type anything on the image. They don't know. And also they faced a difficult that instead of posting on the My Status thing, they posted in the class group itself. But they wanted on the My Status like other children. And so they learn more. They learned more, really. They were on the fingertips. I need not say that, how child is the curious. So here they could type only that my name is so-and-so and I belong to so-and-so class, like that. But slowly they have improved. This is happening all through this year, all through this pandemic year. And coming to the drawbacks, I should mention that like most of the government schools in particular, we say that availability of the device is a big challenge then, and that happened. And that is again, the availability is one thing, and availability with the parents or the child, that is the other thing. Then if it is available, then accessibility is the challenge there. Then is the if device is available, it's only with one child. And it's happened that mom or parents gave priority to the child of 10th standard, but not to the others. That is the thing. We have to convince them that give 1 hour to this boy, 1 hour to this girl, all this. And all this were carried on class group chat, then also personal chat, then on phone calls. And then is the one more thing is the availability of the device late evening. Only one device available at the home, that too with the parents. And father goes on work and comes back, and then with the late evening, what the child can do is already asleep. So all this made him a bit away from the learning, but he's so curious. At night 11 also I used to get messages, or early morning before the parent leaves for the work. This is so beautiful that it gave immense joy to me that my pupils are learning. And then they started browsing more and more images. Initially, they couldn't crop it and post it. They have posted too many or clumsy thing or every other sort, which is not required. So all this happened. All this were overcome slowly. It took a lot of time, and it took really also painless in the sense that students showed equally importance or engaged in this. And this is the thing that I should say that in this challenge itself, I have got one advantage in the sense that siblings are admitted into the same school. So peer learning happened. So elders taught the youngers. That was there. That is the beautiful thing. And the one thing I should say which was difficult for me is those teenagers or whoever by chance, by mistake, or they have posted the wrong posts. They have posted which are unacceptable, not suitable for the age. Even that happened. Then I have to address them. I have to go back to the chat or the parents, and then it took a lot of time. And finally today, really, all the children without any help, they are posting different things. Even today, the important day, as I said, today is the handshake day, but we can't shake the hands. And so they have immediately switched over to the another important day, saying that it's a strawberry day. Oh, is it? I don't know. I didn't remember. That was my answer in the class group chat. So all this is my personal journey, short and brief. And so here I end my talk. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Asha. Thank you, Asha. God bless you. You are doing such wonderful work. Okay.
Thank you, sir. With all the support. My HM is equally curious.
Oh, thank you. Now that three of the presenters have made their presentations, I will very quickly, the best way I can, I will summarize the three talks, and then we can have the few questions. There's one question already for you, Asha. I'll come to that after I summarize the talks. Abhijit was the first presenter who talked about the present day situation and how online teaching is really not conducive to several of the possibilities that offline classes can provide. And he helpfully gave names of some of the platforms that are available at the tertiary level, but the problem with the young learners persists. That's his view. And worse than the physical the availability of connectivity is a major problem that has been causing a lot of hindrance. Now, what we need to do is we need to adapt ourselves to new testing and teaching procedures, and collaborative teaching can become possible through online or virtual discussion. These were some of the things that as major points that he discussed. I have not included all the points. The second presenter was Ms. Alvelu Manga. She talked about how values can be promoted using language teaching as the medium, and how online teaching has really not been compatible with teaching of the values. So she suggested a few ways out, and how the teachers need to create an awareness, and especially at a time when there is infodemics. Infodemics is overburdened with information, which really means there is a lack of content. Everything becomes so impersonal, and the whole thing becomes a very casual approach. So one of the things that she said was, can we make the entire learning inquiry oriented through simulations, and promote some amount of authentic reading along with note taking? This was Manga's presentation. Asha's is fresh in all your minds. She used WhatsApp as the major means of encouraging her learners, and the amount of learning that happened was enormous, and there was so much learning that she was taken for surprise. And I think I should also appreciate the amount of time and the innovativeness that she has invested in developing all this, teaching them alphanumerical coding, making the whole learning experience stress-free and cheerful, making it as interactive as possible, not minding the time at which she gets a call It could be midnight or it could be early morning. Be ready to take it up, and also trying to see that the access to the social medium does not take them to inaccessible sites. This is something highly appreciated. There is one question that's already there on the chat box, which most of you might have seen. This is meant for Asha Katikaneni. Asha, the question is, how did you cope with the syllabus during your teaching during this particular period? You have any response to that? I thought, no, my understanding was you were looking beyond the syllabus, which is something I appreciate.
Exactly. And as I said, is a warm-up activity. It's an activity of 5 or 8 or 10 minutes at the max, right? And may lead to more minutes also. And it happened because of the curiosity. I couldn't break them. And ma'am, coming to the syllabus, the state government has reduced the syllabus. That's the main thing. Then for the syllabus and the content to be covered, we have TSAT lessons. And in this pandemic only, I have opened a YouTube channel and website for my school. We have the supportive videos on the website, on our school YouTube channel, and WhatsApp groups are very supportive, more than these, because parents are illiterate, and I should say proudly that most of my students are first generation learners. So I'm so mingled with them that I'm traveling from since their first class to this 5th class. And in this pandemic only, I have given them TC and sent them to the 6th class, because I work in a primary school. So my journey is a long journey along with them, moving along with the students. Teacher is moving along with the students. That is one thing. Then these parental care is less, in particular to the education, sir. So it's more teacher oriented. It's more or either peer learning. Then we have taken help of alumni, sir. We have 10 high school also in our premises. Then we're in contact with them. We have taken their help and asked if they could help the children. That is the one thing. That is the reduction of the syllabus. Then support your YouTube channel. Then all these people who helped us. Then more than this, I should admit, and I proudly say that, and all my colleagues also noticed that WhatsApp class groups are more engaged, more effective than all this. That widely is the spread of WhatsApp and the use. And so immediately we were given a 1 minute video or less than 1 minute video. I've given many videos. My colleagues also. We are 14 in staff. So all these videos were so supportive, and the chat, and even a simple word, okay or yes or no, all this made the chat number messages to really more than 700 and 1,000 and 1,200 at times. It's for only classes 3, 4, and 5 that we have conducted online classes, not for 1 and 2. So all this aided, and still, yes, I agree. We couldn't able to cover the entire syllabus. No.
No, just a minute, Asha. It's actually, yes, I think the question is not really covering the syllabus. Of course, the question that Seema has asked is about covering the syllabus, but your attempt was, the objectives were totally beyond that. Okay, means,
yes, thank you for
if
noticing.
you promote learning, the other learning, the learning of the syllabus happens automatically. That's the answer. There's one more question, very interesting question,
beautiful, sir.
Which probably is based on your survey. And this is from Rashid Inamdar. He asks, what percentage of children had the accessibility to internet, okay, which means even on the smartphone, okay? Did they really have smartphone for e-learning using WhatsApp, etc.? What percentage? Do you have any idea? Did your survey?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. in the sense that this my study is more qualitative than quantitative, but class strength and the number of using this online, that I have data. My class strength is 40, so only 28 have the mobiles.
Okay.
And in that 28, only 12 were active. Only 12 were active. And among those 12, sir, as I've said, they have passed it to the 6th class to another school. But those 10 students out of 12, 10 students are still in contact with me.
Okay.
They even today post and they say that, see, madam, this is this. See, teacher, this is this. And what is this today? And teacher, what is that you posted? I didn't understand. Pol ke aise bhi questions are.
The technical term for that, Asha, is what is called surrender value. Means it is not how much you have taught, but how much is retained by the learner is more important than how much I have taught. Okay, that's the most important aspect.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, Asha. Thank you.
I have learned new.
Thank
you all. Thank you all. Yeah, I have noted it.
I think Alvelu has put a small note. Total physical response. It is not dancing. Okay, Alvelu, would you like to talk about that, or would you like me to say a bit
Reinforcing.
about it? Yeah.
Sir, it is something like reinforcing value, listening and speaking skills. It's possible only through TPR, sir. That is what I wanted to say. The superior in-class learning experience to students will not be able to. I mean, now online classes will not be able to get that class. That is what I wanted to talk about TPR.
Fine. Now this will, I think they will make this the last question before going out of the next presenter. TPR was an experimental method of teaching, which was invented by a man called Asher, who was teaching in the University of California, which really leads to psycholinguistics. Means language learning is a developmental process. So instead of teaching a inactive class, if you can engage them in some sort of a physical activity, associate the physical activity with learning, that's what is termed as total physical response. I think this is something that Alvelu was trying to incorporate through the online classes.
Exactly. The real, tangible, touchable play teach is only the class. COVID-19 masked the yeah. That is what I wanted to stress upon.
That's a wonderful thing that you have. Now let's
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all the three speakers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Shall we go to the fourth speaker? I don't have the name of this speaker who is fourth in the series. Ashraf, are you ready for your presentation?
Of course, sir.
Yeah, please, Ashraf.
Okay. Sir, Ravindra, sir, what about the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, I will make you presenter. You can change the slide. Below you find the left and right arrow. You can change. Okay, Ashraf, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, shall I start, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, respected Chairperson Mohanraj, sir. Other dignitaries, paper presenters, and all other technical team. Actually, from the morning itself, we have been discussing about the online classes, especially in the pandemic time. My subject is virtual classes for English. I study on the factors leading really in a changing situation. The students and learners adapted to go with the pandemic situation, a new situation, new environment. Actually, it was very essential for all over the world. Really, I was conducting a study on the students of different states they were studying in our school, especially the students from Jammu Kashmir, Manipur, Maharashtra, and Kerala. Almost 15 students are from Jammu Kashmir, 5 of them are from Manipur. And actually, we go with the studies. And as a developing country, 6% of total population in India belongs to extreme poverty. That's why those people are facing very difficulties or deficiencies of the internet and the other devices. And one more thing, the RBI also says that almost 25.7% of the students people are living in the remote village areas. They also facing these type of issues. Anyhow, for the digital classrooms, really they were constructed and we approached the school itself. But the problem was they had no enough chances to access this type of teaching learning process. Really, I proposed, one second, sir. Okay, really in the real-time face-to-face classroom switched over the online platform due to the pandemic. Through these students, we could find out some conclusions or inference about the efficacy of the online classes and the receptive mind. Actually, they were changed. The students and the teachers are changed into the new situations and they adapted with their new tools and the categories. Really, the different strategies to be followed to the level and disposition. I told you before, the people from the various areas of the country or different states, the most of them are living in a unprivileged areas, but majorities are living in the outskirts of the town city areas. They can access and they can enjoy the online classes. But finally, the problem was to select a strategy or a method to access all these students. Then, really, that was a great task. The people from Manipur and Jammu Kashmir, they are very far from the entire sides of the different sides of our country itself. Really, these online classrooms are not a new domain. It starts or it got an entire popularity or emerging popularity from the 1990 onwards. While the main demerit or the defect of the online class is, I think, it did not get an immediate feedback from the students or the learners. But while we are in the traditional classrooms, we can handle the students according to the level and the disposition of the students. We can change the methods, strategies, everything. But here, in the online classes also, we have to take different tools. We can choose. Moreover, the integration of the ICT in education further accelerated, and that online education became an inevitable part. That's why we have to change. The teacher must change by adopting different strategies. Okay, for this, I discussed among the teachers, and we go with them, and they found some remedies. We should competent enough to the to cope up with the different situations and tactics. For this, we mainly adopted or we make use of the mixed platform of the classrooms. Blended classrooms. Actually, in the blended classrooms, there are two types, like live classrooms, like we are conducting the webinar, and another one is to record it beforehand and put in the WhatsApp or some other social medias. Actually, the synchronous learning that is taking place in a particular place by the teacher, and the students are gathered there at a particular time, the same time the learning process taking place. But the asynchronous learning, that the teacher can teach their lessons and record it and put in in some other medias, and the learners can come and learn according to their pace and time. Really, this is the method that we used. Other than this, we conducted some library classes in the difficulty by calling the other state students, because they were there in our school itself, in the hostel, in their hostels. And another thing we used the advanced computer applications like Google Earth and NASA World, that is for social studies subjects, and the Kerala Infrastructure and Technology for Education KITE, that introduced so many applications and projects to promote the school education. The one among them is for the English languages, E3 English program. That's KITE is a government of Kerala establishment set up to foster, promote, and implement the modernization of educational institutions in Kerala. Really, to improve the language proficiency, the KITE introduces or the launched the E3 program. That was a good beneficial for this type of below medium students. Okay, the E3 stands for enjoy, enhance, and enrich. It helps the learners to learn English in a funny way. Really, it was a very funny one. Actually, the works that we are giving to the students, that should be a challenging one. Even my students, in 9th standard, they had made a digital magazine in even the lockdown situation. Actually, but other times, if we deliver a lecture or some other, will be exhausted and there is a chance to quit the classroom situations. But if we are giving this type of advanced or strategy, definitely they will be there at their home without any frustration or disappointment. But always the parents, they were complaining or they're calling to advise them, and other things they are giving duty for us. But actually, if we are giving this type of interesting strategies or words, they will be very, very thoroughly, they will go with that one. Really, like the E3 English program, there is a e-learning program and e-library also there. That is the neighbored Samagra. In the Samagra portal, that also powered by or launched by the KITE or under the Kerala government. In the Samagra portal, it is easily available the different resources of photos and videos related to the textbook of the 1st to 12th standard. Actually, we can contribute our videos or the images related to the classroom lessons. Teacher, student, or any parents also, they can access these type of resources.
You have to conclude, Ashraf. Okay.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you. Okay. The one more thing is the e-language lab, and the almost 45,000 of the classrooms are become high tech in 4,500 schools, and they are all, everything is very equipped, and what we want to do, the teacher want to do is we want to use the resources rationally according to the level of the students. Actually, they were very interested. As far as the concern with these 50 students, they are still very active and they are inquiring about their work and their study. They are, that is the, I think it is the very best way to go with the studies. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ashraf. We'll take questions on this a little later. Now, may I call on Ashwini TS to make a presentation? Ashwini?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay.
I had already uploaded the PPT. May I know, please?
Name, madam, what name you have given?
Ashwini.
File
Ashwini
name?
Conference. File name also Ashwini at Conference.
Okay, I'm getting.
Yeah.
Madam, PPT is loaded. On the bottom, you can see the left-right arrow. Okay, to change the
Yes.
slides.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I'll make you presenter now. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you so much, sir. Good afternoon to the chairperson, Dr. Mohan Raj, sir, to my co-presenters, and to my peers, and all to YouTube viewers who are watching live this presentation. I'm a bit nervous today as it's my first paper presentation in an international conference. Hoping to give my best. Yes.
We are all your friends, Ashwini.
Thank
All
you
of
so
us
much,
are
sir.
your friends, okay?
Yes, thank you, sir. COVID-19 pandemic has literally dismantled our lives, affecting all the sectors of the society, including our education system too. Teachers have faced many challenges during these times in order to comply the learning needs of students at the wake of this pandemic. Before moving on, let me start by saying just a few words about my background. I'm Ashwini TS, working as a teacher in Government Higher Primary School, New Colony, Chikkagondaнаhalli. It is in Chitradurga Taluk and District from Karnataka State. The topic that I have chosen for my research paper is a promising journey to meet the learning needs of students in rural area. This COVID-19 pandemic led to the closure of the schools in the academic year 2021. Being a responsible teacher, I thought of alternative methods to approach the students. Meanwhile, our education department, with collaboration of our DSCRT, started a new project named Vidyagama. In this program, students were divided on the availability of the technical devices. There were 3 groups. The first group was those who had smartphones or laptops. The second group was those who had keypad phones with TV or radio. And the third group was those who had no devices at all. As I work in a rural area, students in all the 3 groups were common to me, and I listed out the names of students of the 6th and 7th grade to whom I facilitate. To those who could afford smartphones, I created WhatsApp groups and I started sending worksheets to them as a home task so that there should be no any learning gaps at the pandemic time in order to maintain a bridge in the learning process. To those who could afford keypad phones, we all teachers had a telephonic conversation either with their parents or with the student directly, and we asked them and we gave them clear instructions on how to fill the worksheets. To those of group 3 children who didn't have any devices, we made a timetable, and as we teachers were going to school every day, in a week, twice or thrice, we visited the learners' homes directly with all the safety precautions, and we met our students there. We gave them the worksheets, we gave the instructions, and asked them to complete the work. Again, in our next visit, we would take back the worksheets and give the new worksheets of different subjects. So this was that Vidyagama program. This program kind of enlightened me to take up a study on teaching English to overcome the learning gaps of my students. As language always focuses on 4 skills, speaking, reading, and writing, at this pandemic time, I could partially go with listening or speaking activities, whereas a very nice move in reading and writing activities with the help of the WhatsApp groups that we created class-wise. I created individual worksheets to my learners based on their competence, based on their actual speed of learning as I knew them beforehand. To this, I took help of the various websites available, namely islcollectives.com, easyenglishteacherworksheets.com, or the Pinterest app, wherein I could find worksheets. Also, with the help of those ready-made worksheets, I designed some of my own worksheets, which I gave to the children. Worksheets were delivered to children with ease and collected later after completion of their work. Talking about the WhatsApp groups, all my students, for example, if I was supposed to give a data, in 6th standard there were 22, and in 7th standard there were 20 learners. So it was 42 learners. I had separate WhatsApp group for 6th standard and separate WhatsApp group for 7th standard. So whenever I sent any WhatsApp messages, they used to reply me with very much enthusiasm, and that gave me a kick to work more. And recently, in the earlier days, I thought that it would be very difficult for the learners to understand the lengthier text messages of giving instructions. So I preferred voice messages, voice recordings I sent. So learners also are very good, and they cooperated with me very well. They enjoyed sending voice messages of the reading activities, especially like poems, poems or lessons. And also they sent the snapshots of their homeworks. So I cannot move my slides, sir.
At the bottom, there is arrow, you look at me.
Yes, got, sir. Okay, thank you. Sorry for the disturbance. They also sent me the snapshots of their homework, and also they could witness some of the videos which I sent in YouTube related to the learning concepts, and they enjoyed doing all the works that I posted in the groups, and they sent me back their homeworks. Also, in the later stages, I did an experiment to those who could afford with smartphones. I went on with almost half an hour or nearly 45 minutes later in the evening, as it was the best time. Their parents would return from work and mobiles would be available for the learners. So I chose the time from 7 to 8 p.m. every day and gave some of the online Google Meet classes. And my learners were very enthusiastic to see me online, as they could not see us in the physical classroom. Really, their support was fantabulous. As a saying goes, something is better than nothing. Similarly, I tried varied teaching techniques in both offline and online mode. So as I said, it was the first group who could go with WhatsApp and who could go with the YouTube videos and all. They could send me back the homework. It was very easy for me to give the feedback either on the phone or correct the worksheets and send them back to them. Whereas for the second group, which didn't have WhatsApp, who had only the keypad phones, or who could watch TV lessons like eSamveda. The eSamveda classes were broadcast on the Doordarshan channel from standard to 10th standard. So they could watch that and they could prepare their own notes. So for this group, what I did was they were asked to make notes of the videos that they saw. Videos were of Karnataka syllabus textbook. So they could see the videos, and at least it was a half an hour class. If it was a half an hour class, they could make notes of 5 or 10 points, and they could enjoy the video and learn something by staying at home. In this context, my job became more important. As all my learners belong to rural area, we need to cope up with small amount of resources available there. So I made attempts to reach all the children. So now for the third group learners who didn't have any device at all, as you see in my first slide, I have posted a photo. So this is a photo of visiting homes of our learners, wherein we used to visit, we teachers of our school throughout our district, we used to visit the learners' home and correct their homeworks and give them back their worksheets and give them new worksheets again. So this is a snapshot of that particular work for the group 3 learners who didn't have any devices. So many innovative practices were practiced both in online and offline mode. We got a satisfactory response from our learners too. So the offline practices were visiting houses, telephonic conversations, providing worksheets, whereas the online practices were WhatsApp groups, voice recordings, Google Meet, and also YouTube videos. These were a kind of techniques that we practiced in my school. So now, as we know that each thing has some advantages as well as limitations. I do find, yes.
You will have to conclude in about a minute.
Yes, sir.
Just about a minute, okay?
Yes, yes. So advantages of online mode of teaching were, it strengthened the student-teachers rapport, various resources related to the topic could be used, updation of knowledge, realistic experience of some concepts can be provided. And limitations were, there were technical glitches like network problems, call drops, weak signals at the time of Google Meet. And sometime whenever I sent WhatsApp homework, they said homework didn't reach them because data pack was not available on a daily basis. There were some of the audio disturbances as well. And the most important thing was difficulty in evaluation and providing feedback every time when we sent through this. Along with that, my students also had some advantages or limitations, like advantage, let me say that they acquired self-learning. Self-learning in the sense they could browse through the net and learn some new ideas. I'm talking about the active learners only. They could learn on their own. The self-learning concept was invoked in them, and the videos made them attracted, through which they learned with a lot of interest. And complaints, like I received a lot of complaints from parents, like they are in the name of the online class, in the name of the WhatsApp group, they are using the mobiles and they're playing online games. So that was a drawback, which I thought of correcting it later. So my reflections are like this. I achieved self-confidence in effective usage of the online mode. I inculcated from websites. I became technically updated. I also learned usage of digitalized evaluation tools like Google Forms, Padlet, etc. I was happy to share all this news with my peers or colleagues, and also in turn make them digitally rich. So these were my reflections. This research has given me hands-on experience in facing the challenges occurred during the pandemic time. It has made me self-confident in designing proper instructional materials for different themes in various grades. As a result of this experiment, this year we have started online live English classes. It's an open platform to all our rural children, wherein some of the like-minded teachers are giving everyday live English classes from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And the response from the students is overwhelming. Learning never ends. It's a continuous process from womb to tomb. With this note, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for giving me a wonderful opportunity.
Wonderful. Excellent, excellellent. Tumba chanagi matadide amma. Very good.
So
Okay. Next, could we call Salome Snehalata? Salome, aren't you Dr. Salome now still? Salome?
Sir, sorry, I have not yet submitted my thesis.
Oh,
Madam,
really?
your slide is ready.
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, madam. Madam, your slide is ready. Okay. Hello, Snehalata, madam.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You can change the slide at the
Yes,
bottom.
sir.
You can see the right side. I will make you the presenter, madam. Okay. Okay, continue, madam.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Sir.
Right.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes. Yes, you are.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mohan Raj, sir, chairperson of this session. And good afternoon, Mohan Raj, sir, and good afternoon to all the presenters and I am Ms. Saloni Snehamita, and I am a school assistant English working at ZPHS Sri. As sir was just asking now, I will also doing my PhD, but how much I submitted my thesis, so I'm still and right now I'm feeling like a student at CFL when we used to do our internal assessment presentations for marks and all that. Mohan Rasa was our lecturer at the time, and so I'm feeling like a student doing a presentation now. So please forgive me, sir, if I do any mistake. And the title of my presentation is Promoting Learner Autonomy Through Online Teaching, a study of high school teachers and students' perspectives. So first, let me tell a little bit about a personal experience that I had, which actually motivated me to take up this topic. It was it was related to my teaching of teaching through online mode. Long back when this online teaching and everything started, we were sharing videos of lessons to students, and we were sharing different videos from YouTube, and we were sharing links to different websites and all that stuff. And at that time, the government was also preparing some videos, and then on one particular day, an officer visited our school and asked about how much we are motivating the students to watch the videos that are available on the government website. And as I was sharing my own I was sharing my some videos which I felt are really useful or helpful to students in understanding the lessons or grammar concepts. I frankly accepted that. I am not. I didn't motivate the students as much to watch the videos that are available on the government website. Naturally, this particular answer of mine that made the officer irritated, and the officer was a bit angry that I did not encourage the students to watch the videos on the website. So this particular incident made me to reflect on what actually are we promoting through online teaching. Are we just enabling our students to do what we want to do, what we design for them, what we expect them to learn, what we want them to do, what we want them to read, what lessons we have to complete? Is this the only purpose of online teaching? Is this the only thing that we can achieve through online teaching, or is there something more that we can achieve through online teaching? So these kind of thoughts enabled me to think more about learner autonomy. What is actually learner doing through online classes? Is the learner still a passive recipient of knowledge, just like we experienced in the offline classrooms, or is there any possibility of enhancing the ability of the students to think for himself or herself, to take appropriate decisions which will be useful for his own learning or which will be suitable according to his needs. So this ability to make students self-reliant or self-dependent and responsible in his or her own learning is what I thought we can achieve more through online teaching. And just now Ashwini ma'am was also sharing her own experience that she found students to be more self-reliant even at the primary school level. So based on these experiences and based on my reading, I felt that it is possible to achieve or to provide autonomous learning opportunities to students through online mode and make our students also self-reliant. But these are all like very on the ground level, and I didn't have much information about what actually is happening on the different online classes. So I just wanted to know what teachers actually feel about developing learner autonomy in their students, because as we know, the connectivity is a major issue in our classroom, in our society, and covering the syllabus seems to be the main goal in our society. So considering these challenges, it sounds like a fancy idea or a romantic idea to talk about learner autonomy when the basic essential infrastructure is not developed in our students. So I'm here, so I would like to say that my study is basically focused on students who are able to attend online classes, and it was good to online classes for this pandemic time for the past 1 year. So I'm not going to talk about other issues surrounding this major issue, but I'll be talking only about the students and teachers' perspectives of regarding online teaching and learner autonomy. So, learner autonomy. Learner autonomy is defined as the ability to take charge of one's own learning, and there are two aspects regarding two views regarding learner autonomy. If you think about learner autonomy, the idea is that the learner is completely responsible for himself or his own learning. The teacher has no role to play, or the educational context has no role to play. Everything is dependent on the student's ability or interest or responsibility to develop himself or herself. That is one extreme view of learner autonomy. But on the other hand, there are experts who say that, like argues that learner autonomy is not a big project. It is a process of learning, and it is achieved in a gradual process by providing or by obtaining certain conditions or certain kind of educational experiences. So through providing educational experiences also, we can have some influence on students in developing their autonomous learning habits. And especially the educational technology has proven to be more effective in developing this learner autonomy. So all these aspects are like learner autonomy and kind of educational experiences that we provide to the students, and the kind of the way in which we use technology, everything has a role to play in developing autonomous learners. So when the online teaching has become common all over the country, even in Telangana, it has been introduced, and the government started broadcasting lessons, and the teachers who had access to computers and started making WhatsApp groups and got in touch with their students regularly. But all the students began to rely less on teachers, and there was unfortunately or unfortunately, everybody has to depend on themselves for learning the subject. So the relation between technology-based teaching and learner autonomy is like technology-based learning helps more to achieve learner autonomy, but in order to achieve this learner autonomy, this technology-based learning it hinges on two key elements, that is active learner and environmental factors. So we need the learner should be active. He should be made given an active role in the teaching learning process, and the environmental factors are the way we design our tasks, the way we interact with the students in the classroom, the methodology that we use, the material that we use. All these factors contribute to success of technology-based learning, and ultimately through this interplay of all these aspects, we can achieve in the long run various techniques for achieving learner autonomy. So, considering this background, I want to know the perspectives of high school English language teachers promoting learner autonomy. And what kinds of opportunities were provided by teachers to online classes to promote this kind of autonomous learning of experiences in the classroom. And I also wanted to know what are the learners' perspectives when they were provided some kind of opportunities to learn by themselves. For my, I did a small-scale study for this. Actually, just still in the process. I'm just here presenting the information or data that I collected through the questionnaires. So this is the participants of this study are teachers from Telangana government schools who are from 7 different districts, and 25 teachers responded to my questions. These teachers range from 20 to 21 years of experience. All of them were taking online classes regularly to their students, and they were all experts. If not experts, they were all well experienced in using a variety of ICT tools, which everybody, almost every practitioner in the world is learning when the pandemic started. So the same way, teachers started using different tools to make their students learn, and students of grade 9 and 10 responded for students' questionnaire. I used a questionnaire for this study.
Saloni, you have to conclude.
Yes.
Sure. About a minute.
Yeah, these are the about a minute, sir. So these are teachers' queries. Thematically, this understanding of it says that there is some kind of difference of opinion between teachers regarding understanding of it. For example, a learner autonomy means that some people think that knowledge or expertise in the subject, whereas some people think that it is a strategic learning of strategies for effective learning and independent learning. In the same way, some teachers think that learner online teaching regarding online classes, some teachers still think that it is explanation of textbook or lessons in the online classes, whereas some other teachers try to use different tools to make them get good learning experiences. So there is some difference of opinion between teachers, and there seems to be a lack of clarity in what they think about learner autonomy. So autonomous learning opportunities provided through online mode, or most commonly is sharing games, sharing of videos, and sharing of video lessons prepared on Google Slides and Nearpod, and then activities mostly on Flipgrid, Nearpod, and quizzes. These are the most common opportunities given by teachers in most of the online classes taken by teachers of this. And students' perspectives also have understood that students consider teachers' role as very necessary in their teaching learning process. So they feel confident that they can learn independently after 1 year of online teaching. They are confident, but still they feel that teacher's role is very essential, and they feel nervous if teacher is not available or is not explaining to them certain things. So many students are aware of some websites which are essential, which are useful in the learning SRW skills.
I
You can
think
see
you
the
have to conclude.
graphs.
Right.
Yes, sir. So on the whole, I would like to say that there is a need for raising awareness in the use of ICT tools to achieve learner autonomy in the long run and make learning more joyful process in the online classes. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Salome. Wonderful presentation. Now we have the second three presentations, which I'll very quickly summarize before inviting questions. Ashraf from Calicut talked about the efficacy of virtual classes for English. He was pretty good, and he traced the history of online teaching. I don't know, somehow he mentioned 1800 as one of the years. I'm not very sure if there was a typographic somewhere there, but I take it. And then he moved on to, from talking about history, he moved on to the blended classrooms where asynchronous teaching is much more beneficial because the teacher has the time to prepare his class very well so that the outreach can be maximized and also the learner can learn at his or her own time. Then he discussed in detail platform that was created by the Kerala government, Samagra, which is in fact a wonderful thing where the text is integrated, the curriculum is integrated with the online teaching. I think this is a beautiful experiment. Then we had Ashwini from Chikmagalur talking about a promising journey to meet the learner needs. She was largely talking about how learners were approached in a very friendly manner and how the learners were divided into three groups in a program called Vidyarama, though based on the facilities they have, whether they have a phone, do not have a phone, what type of a phone they have, etc. And how the teachers in a committed way visited the children who couldn't afford a phone. This is something that needs to be appreciated, and also the ability of the teachers to engage classes at a time which is outside the office hours, 7 to 8 in the evening. Then she talked about eSamvada, which has a repository of video programs where self-learning became an evident benefit. Then we had Salome Snehalata, who was a totally data-driven presentation talking about learner needs, how learner needs to be identified before making the learners autonomous, and how she defined learner autonomy and mentioned how the educational experience and educational technology can promote learner autonomy. And she also talked about the interaction that can happen between learner autonomy, education technology, and the quality of the learner, and also about the environment that's provided to the learner. And within this, the teachers have weaknesses, learners have weaknesses. How do we overcome this was the larger thesis that she presented. I invite questions if there are questions on these three papers. Any questions? I don't see any questions on the chat box right now. Asha has a I can take one question from Asha, and this is directed to Ashwini. Ashwini, are you ready to respond to this question? Asha has asked a question. You have already responded to her.
Yes.
This is a question about, may I know about evaluation in terms of preparing question papers itself? How are you evaluating the learners? Is it just because you talked about going to the houses, doing worksheets, okay?
Yes.
And this three different types of groups and three different types of approaches. It was quite a complex thing.
Yes.
Ashwini, would you like to talk about? You have already answered, but for the rest of the group.
I will, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for this question. It's really a nice question. So evaluation here we did in terms of MLL, like minimum levels of learning. We didn't go with any hard and fast rules. Question paper set, and then there were within norms. Whatever worksheets we had prepared, which we gave to learners of different groups. Each group learners would get different kind of worksheets. So based on the worksheets only, we would give them a grade. And later, at the end of a year, we consolidated the grades and gave a final grade to the learners. Also for the smart group learners, voice recordings were also taken into consideration. Some of their video of reading a lesson or reading a paragraph were also taken into consideration for higher grade learners like 6th or 7th standard. And at last, the consolidation was made, and it was given on the terms of whole, like not.
Yeah, thank you, Ashwini. Thank you. That was a good response, and you have mentioned CCE also, which is which is the in thing. But I know I can't say it's the in thing. It is also booted out. Okay. Any other questions? Anyone would like to? Christine. Okay, Christine has a question too. Who are you asking this, Christine? Is it to
Ashraf, sir.
Ashraf? Okay, Ashraf, there is a question for you. How do you perceive the mushrooming private learning apps that those are gaining fast popularity? They are gaining popularity. There are quite a few private apps. I'm not sure if Christine is thinking of Baiju and others. I'm not sure. I don't like to mention any of those apps. But Ashraf, I think this is a genuine question. There are authorized apps. There are also unauthorized apps. How do you cope with them, or how do you reconcile?
Actually, sir, in the private apps, I think as a teacher, we can't promote this type of private apps.
Right.
Okay, anyhow, in the software section, there are so many areas are there. Teach with innovators, it is releasing. Now this BBP also a good app to discuss in the seminars, and it consumes a little internet. But I think, in my opinion, we can't promote such type of private apps. But in the general education sector in Kerala itself, there are so many activities, applications, and so on. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think that's a very valid question. What Christina has asked is a very valid question, whether or not we promote it or not. What we have to accept is many of the private apps are extremely efficient. They are much more efficient. Okay. And because of their efficiency, they are gaining popularity. Endorsing these private apps is not the job of anyone. Okay. Because government cannot endorse a private app. But if it is there in if it is there in the environment, if it is there in your surroundings, you are obviously attracted to it, and you cannot help help using it. That's how you have to look at it. I think Ashraf's response was very diplomatic, and it's right as well. We cannot promote it. We certainly cannot promote it. Government bodies cannot promote it. Thank you. Any other questions? Any other? Since we don't have any other questions, shall we move to presenters 7, 8, and 9? I do not have the names of 7th and 8th presenter. 9th presenter is Chelsea. 7th and 8th presenters, are they here?
Sir, Seren P. Simon, he's here on the list.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm Seren P. Simon. Yes, sir.
Sir, you have any
presenter.
PPT?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I've shared it. I've shared the link in the presentation. Could you please check the Google form?
I'll check it and.
Okay. Who is
the name
8?
of the?
Is there the serial number
Name,
8 also? Yeah, name of person in serial number 8.
File, sir.
Yeah, file name is RIESI International Conference, Seren P. Simon.
Right. Right. Oh, okay. Go ahead, sir. Seren.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, are you able to see my?
Not yet. Yes. This is
Not this one. Yeah.
No, not this
previous
one.
one.
This is Asha's.
Sir, are you able to find it out?
No.
Not there in the list actually. Whatever I have got, it's not there. I will make you presenter. You can share the screen. You can open
Okay.
it. And there is a monitor symbol. You just click that. Your screen will be shared. Okay. I'll make you presenter, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Now there is a on the right corner. You can see the monitor symbol with click. So that
Yes, sir.
you open the screen. You can do it, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Sir, now are you able to see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
We can see.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for helping me out. And Mohinder, sir, thank you for the patience as well. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, let me just start my presentation. First of all, respected chairperson, Dr. Mohan Raj, and dear presenters. Yeah. So here for today's presentation, the topic I have taken is challenges and innovations in teaching English language in a tertiary level heterogeneous online classroom. Yeah. So as we all know, it has been more than a year since the world has shrunk to the four walls of a home, with online platforms being the only window to the outside world. Working from home has become the new normal, and the same is the case with the knowledge economy as well. For many students, the classroom has come to their living room, but for many students, it is still not a reality due to their social or economic background, lack of technical or basic knowledge, or reluctance to adapt to the situation, etc. And when we talk about online teaching and online learning, we have to go through the reality as well. So in our country, many students still have no idea on how their online classes are being conducted and haven't seen their teachers or peers face to face yet. So according to the data portal statistics, internet penetration, the internet availability in India is only 45% as of January 2021. And the latest survey of All India Survey on Higher Education see that 60.56% of the 42,343 colleges in India are located in rural areas, and 78.6 are privately managed. So these are the realities that we have to go through while we are talking about online teaching as well. And as we all know, many teachers have come in terms with the online teaching, and they have started practicing the same as well. So online teaching tools that make the classes more feasible and interesting have taken up the center stage. Google Meet, teachers have started talking about Google Meet, the online teaching tools like Google Meet, Zoom, Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, etc. And the importance of PowerPoint presentation in teaching also have increased. But at the same time, as an English teacher, what we face, as same as all teachers, like English teacher, as English teachers, we also face the same problem. As according to Prashantini Karyala and Sarita Kamath, they are educators, they say that body language and eye contact which are important cues for the teacher, are difficult to perceive in an online class. And here, there is a, let us listen to the saying of a teacher that he says that, I do not receive continual feedback in the forms of students' reaction during online sessions, which reduces the effectiveness of teaching online. Yes, this is what most of the teachers and especially the English language teachers are facing in the class. Since it is a language teacher, it's more important for an English class, English language teacher to get the feedback from the students. So when it comes to testing speaking and writing skills, as an English teacher, we know that since there was no option to meet the students of the academic year 2021 physically, many language teachers the LSRW skills of the major portion of the class. As we all know, for second years and third years and even the final years, we are able to understand whether the student is able to speak or the proficiency level, the language proficiency of the student. But since we haven't met the students who have joined in the academic year 2020 personally, many teachers are struggling to know their LSRW skills. And it's a tough time for a teacher to make a student to speak in an online class. In a tertiary level class, I teach engineering students. So I'm talking about that area. Yeah. Writing skill is another area to analyze. And for most of the students, when they are asked to write, it is easy for them to Google it and copy the same. Even if it is an open book test, they copy the whole writing, but they are not in a position to conceive the idea and make their own writing. Why are they doing so? Yes, and when it comes to the speaking skill, in a class of 57, I'm able to make only 10 students to speak in a class. Among that 10 students, only 4 are able to speak without force, and it's a 15-minute class. Most often I fail whenever I start the class with an interaction or discussion due to the speaking ability of the whole class. Students join English language class to get relaxed. Yeah, since I teach engineering students, they join, at times they say that they join English language class to get relaxed after another hectic engineering class sessions. And at the same time, we have to see the heterogeneous class as well, and let us see the challenges students face while speaking in a class. As we all know, even in physical classes, most English language teachers face the same. Half of the class have no exposure to the English language, though many of them did their schooling in English medium. In a class of 57, only 4 are able to speak without force. We know that the social background, the weak environment of the student, and the fear in using English language before their classmates are the factors that make them not speak in the class. They forget that, at the same time, students forget that English language is a skill which cannot be taught or learned, rather a skill that can be acquired by means of constant practice. At the same time, as an English teacher, due to the syllabus constraints, we always try to finish the syllabuses where we forget that English is mostly taught as we tend to teach English mostly as a subject, not as a language. When it comes to testing the writing skill, during the internal assessment, the answer sheets a teacher receives are almost the same. That is the reality. Students copy the answers by searching online or copying the same answer shared through WhatsApp or Telegram by the studios in the class. For example, a question asked was 10 instructions that should be followed during COVID-19. The main point was also already discussed in the class, and it was taught in the class that when you start when you write an instruction, it should be start with a verb. But while evaluating the answer, what was seen that 10 instructions that were copied from internet that had no sentence construction. This was taught in the class. Even the worksheets were shared. A quiz was conducted. After all, this is what happened after receiving the answer sheet. Why? Because is that we know that they don't want to spend much time there, even in analyzing or even understanding the concept. What they have in their mind that it is easy to copy from where they get the content and pass the exam. And when we come to the situation of the student, same as other subjects, they learn English subject for the sake of passing their exam. For many, English language is a magical and mystical one. Instead of seeing the language as a window to the world, many see it as a hindrance to pass their university exam. These are the challenges and the situations that a student, English language teacher and students go through. When it comes to the innovation side of the English language classroom, I use chat box as a brilliant platform. Why? Because it is a brilliant platform to make the class interactive. Same as the chat box that we see in the current using teaching platform. I use Microsoft. The college uses the Microsoft Teams, where the chat box has the option to share the emojis and even to share the emotions as well. Where what we have to do is that read the messages students share in the chat box without missing anyone. Even if it is a greeting, if it is a good morning message, you have to better read the particular message and with the name of the student, and you have to like it. And keep repeating the message that please share your thoughts in the chat box. While discussing the topic, even after discussing the topic and in between the topic, better we keep on make this announcement that please share your thoughts in the chat box. So that they most of the class and even those who are not in a position to speak will be able to make at least an emoji in the particular chat box, where we can even start a discussion based on that as well. So chat box is a brilliant platform. As an English teacher, we will be able to evaluate the writing skill of the student as well. At the same time, we will be able to evaluate the same, and if there is any grammar mistake, we can even give the suggestions there as well. So chat box is an important platform. That is what I use in my classroom. The another innovation in the English. Yes,
sir,
sir.
You have about a minute.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm about to finish. Yeah. Right. So another innovation in English classroom, the online teaching tool that I use in my class is the quizzes. Quizzes is an online quizzing platform where teachers can conduct live quiz, and it can be used as a platform for revision after discussing the topic of the day. Since it is conducting live, the teacher will be able to know how many students are attending the session as well. Another teaching tool that I use in my class is the word board. It is an online tool. One interactive tool added in this word board is that the spin wheel. So the spin wheel that can be used during the group discussion in a classroom. The teacher can add the name of the students on the spin wheel and select a student for the discussion. So while during the spin wheel is happening in the class, even I personally feel that the student participation will increase while using these types of teaching tool, especially the spin wheel in the classroom for discussion. Another innovation that I've done in my class is that implementing FM radio in a classroom. It is not just like the implementing, it is like an activity that assign 2 or 3 students every day to perform as a radio jockey before starting the class. So before starting the class, if they come for example, welcome everyone, you are listening to Radio English Classroom, or with the explanation like this, if they come across, and that will definitely help them to discuss the topic that we have already discussed the previous day. So this is these type of innovation will help them, especially to improve their speaking and writing skill in their classroom. So these are the challenges as an English teacher. These are the challenges that I face, and the innovations that I have done in my tertiary level heterogeneous classroom. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Wonderful experiments. Okay, we'll go to the next speaker. We'll go to the next speaker. Serial number 8 again is blank in my log. Is there somebody who is? Otherwise, I'll have to call Chelsea. Chelsea is serial number 9.
Chelsea is here, sir.
Chelsea, yeah, Chelsea. I know.
Yes,
Yeah, Chelsea
yes sir.
Chelsea.
Yes, sir.
Could you make your presentation?
Yes, sir. I can.
Sure. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I have uploaded my PPT.
Okay, I load it.
Chelsea Sullivan. That's how the file name is.
There are two Chelsea Sullivan Teacher Innovations .pptx and one more something C it says. There are two PPTs, madam. Which one? First one, shall I open it?
Yes, please open. Then I can tell you. Sir,
this one?
go. No, not this one, sir.
Not this one. Huh? Okay, I'll open the other one. I think this one, madam.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one. Thank you.
You can change the slide, madam. At the bottom, you can see left, right. Okay, I'll make you the presenter. Yeah, yes, madam. Now you can start.
So, good afternoon to all. I'm Chelsea Sullivan. I'm a research scholar in English language education. So my topic is translanguaging, a pedagogic strategy for pandemic era, a study on in-service teachers' perceptions. So the overview of my presentation. First, I'll discuss theorization, then methodology, findings, and the pedagogical implications of the finding. In the context of my study is that I have, during my research, I have come across with the concept of multilingualism, and that's my area of research. In that, in our Indian context, we face, as I'm quoting Professor Ajit Mohanty, a double divide where even though there are English medium instruction, EMI schools everywhere, learners have different standards. That is, learners who knows English and who do not know English. So that divide, there is a linguistic divide. Especially, it adversely affects the tribal and minority language learners. So when we probe much into this situation, it is evident that the proper instructional strategies should be implemented in our school, especially low resource classrooms. Low resource classrooms in the sense, learners from low income background, low economic background, they mostly come to government or aided schools, rural, even it's same with rural or urban areas. There, even though there exists EMI, English medium of instruction, how the learning strategies are not getting effectively reflected in the language learning. So the previous presenter, Sarin, he has mentioned that most of the learners, they got EMI instruction, but still are unable to speak in target language, English. So, and another theoretical aspect of it, that many studies, for Professor Cummins, Gabriel Garcia, Suresh Kanagaraj, there are a lot of studies in bilingual pedagogy. They all argue that there is multilingual competence. That is, our learners, Indian learners, are multilingual by default. They use 2-3 languages, at least 2 languages. So we cannot judge their competency or give teaching practices only based on one language. Rather, we have to integrate their multi-competence, competence in different language and use. So translanguaging is a theoretical perspective that is accept dynamic bilingual pedagogy, which uses entire language or linguistic repertoire of learners to negotiate for meaning. Translanguaging encourages systematic use of learners' mother tongue in the pedagogy and rejects all kind of monolingual biases. Monolingual biases like English only medium of instruction. Rather, translanguaging support a systematic use of L1. Again, we have to emphasize the fact that it's appeal for systematic use. Why? What is the importance? Because it recognizes unitary linguistic repertoire. It accepts dynamic linguistic and semiotic practice of an individual along with the use of single dominant language. At the same time, it points to the material effect of dominant language and accepts the minority language ideologies. So our study is on multilingual pedagogies, and I'm focusing on translanguaging. So research methodology. The participants, the data is collected using close-ended Google Form questionnaire. The participants are in-service teachers, 35 in-service teachers from high schools in Kerala. All participants speak Malayalam as their L1 and teach in EMI schools. Tools. Questionnaire consists of 60 questions, which used to inquire about pedagogical practices, multilingual approach, and teacher perception. Data analysis was quantitatively done. So this is just, I'm just presenting the findings to understand how this practice exists, whether the use of L1, mother tongue, exists, and how it is being spread in relation to the classroom practices. So the mean number of languages that participants reported speaking, like it's 2 to 3 languages. Most of the participants speak 2 to 3 languages. And the languages they use in the classroom, most of them reported that they use at least 2 languages, that is English and Malayalam. Teachers who share mother tongue, all of them, in that 71% of them reported that they share same mother tongue with their learners, or they are sure that the learners and they have same mother tongue. Others were unsure. And the reason to use L1, they reported that it's because to get attention, it improves attention level of the learners. Majority learners understand this language and it is easy to communicate. And of course, the medium of instruction. So another aspect, why? What is the purpose of using L1? That was another inquiry. And it was evident that there are, I've divided into different categories to explain concept, to translate vocabulary, to give instructions, to ask questions, to clarify doubts, to help recollect their previous knowledge, to recall, to give feedback. And majority of them, that is 68.57% of them, reported that they use L1 to give instruction because it improves the clarity of instruction. They can receive better responses from the learners. And what all activities they use this L1 or mother tongue, learner's mother tongue. Most of them reply that they use sometimes in activities like asking questions, writing activities, giving talk or presentation, group work. But we should understand that when it comes to writing activities, they don't support using L1 or learner's mother tongue. And that's how the findings too goes. So, then teacher attitude. So now we have come across with the points regarding how in teaching practices this language is divided, how teachers have used different languages. In our context, it's only Malayalam and English, but used in classroom. And here their attitude, their belief about using classroom. So when it comes to explanation lesson, most of the learners strongly agreed that they believe explaining lesson in L1 or mother tongue is more effective to get clarity or to convey their message. And the second part was assessment. What about using it in assessment? Teachers, when it comes to using assessment, the response was only 70.1%. If you compare the strong teachers who respond strongly agree was comparatively very low because they still have a doubt regarding using it in assessment or using L1, because when you go to institutional framework, L1 is not supported. But at the same time, they find it necessary that to use L1 because then only the learners are interacting or they are getting their attention or responding. So when it comes to assessment, they are a bit confused. So, and the correlation test shows that there is a high number of correlation between teachers who agree to use it in explaining lessons and assessment. So I have been included all the aspect of my study here. But let me summarize what are the findings. The teacher responses from this small study suggest that irrespective of EMI background, most of the teachers in state syllabus or government aided or private schools prone to use L1 in their classroom, mother tongue in their classroom. The multiple reasons to include to help learners understand the meaning, grab their attention, to participate in the classroom, to socialize with students. The purpose of using mother tongue was to give instructions, to ask questions, etc. At the same time, use of L1 for writing and assessment is rare, and most of them do not approve it. We should accept, so what I'm suggesting is that we should accept bilingualism and multilingualism as a norm in Indian classroom. And instead of adhering to traditional monolingual bias approach, we should focus on a multilingual perspective, using pedagogical translanguaging as a scaffolding tool for instruction, assessment, and collaborative learning tasks can increase the cognitive and academic input in the instructional context. So, considering this its theoretical validity and pedagogical possibility in online classroom, that is, we have to look forward into it in further research, how this bilingual pedagogies can be integrated into online classroom and how tools can be developed for pedagogical translanguaging. So this is my summary of my study. Here's a reference, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you. I was about to ask you to conclude. You have done it beautifully. Wonderful experiment. I'm amazed that this is happening. Okay, I'll talk more about it later. Is there one more person who has to under serial number 8? Is there somebody?
Christina is there, sir. Christina and Thomas.
Christina, yeah, Christina is serial number 10.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Christina is serial number 10. Is she the only one left?
Yes, sir.
Then she can make her presentation and then we can go for discussion. Hello? Christina?
Madam? Yes, sir. Yes,
can you make your presentation, Christina?
Yes, sir. I do not have a PPT.
Okay, ma'am. You can start.
But I will be making a presentation. Is it all right, sir?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So, a very good afternoon, Chairperson, sir, and fellow participants. It's a privilege to be here. So today I will be presenting my paper along with my fellow participant, Bharat Suresh. So I'm Christine, and we will be talking about teacher experience at the undergraduate level at an arts and science institution with online classes. So the title of our paper is Chronicling the Strategies and Challenges of Online Teaching in a Language Class. So all of us at the beginning of 2020, we had a very rude awakening. We had to, as digital immigrants, we had to deal with so-called digital natives. It was a huge challenge for all of us. And at undergraduate level, the awareness with media, with social media, everything.
Christina, you can switch on your camera so that we can at least see you.
Oh, yeah, yes. Is it visible now, sir? Yes, I think I'm visible. Is it visible now, sir?
No, madam.
I think my Wi-Fi is down.
Now, yeah, now it see,
okay.
We can see, but not your face, madam. Yeah, okay, fine. Now we can.
Am I visible now?
Yes, madam. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So yes, at the beginning of 2020, all of us had a very rude awakening. We were the digital immigrants suddenly be having to deal with digital natives in their domain, where they were the kings. So that became a little difficult. Somehow, all of us rose to the situation. I don't know how many of you have, but I did enroll for a few online courses with digital learning, teaching online. It did help a little bit, but I must confess that being in the class and dealing with the situation helped me a lot more. Also learning from the learners did help more. So I did take a lot of help from the students as well with regard to, managing a lot of platforms, preventing a lot of errors, etc. So this paper that I'm talking about deals with a very specific subject called as developing professional communication. This paper given by the institution does not require them to write an end semester examination. They have something called as a portfolio submission. So they work with a portfolio over a period of a semester and they submit the culmination. So that became a huge responsibility because we can't cut the syllabus. We can't say these are important questions you have to learn. Everything had to be handled in the given duration of time. And the time duration for these classes were 3 hours at a stretch. So we used to have 2 hours of synchronous hours, that is lecturing, teaching, classroom activities, followed by 1 hour of asynchronous hour, that is you give them something to do and submit. And the platform that we all used was Google Classroom. So that became a challenge in itself in the first place because students so far were used to 1 hour of class a day, followed by maybe seeing me 2 hours during the progress of the week. But here they had to sit in one place and listen for 2 hours continuously, followed by an asynchronous hour. So this posed a huge challenge for us as teachers because we don't have a textbook to rely on. We have to produce our own material. That was the leverage of it. We took it with happiness. That's the idea of the course itself. Having said that, the teachers that dealt with this were from an age group of 30 to 45. So we were a lucky group because we did not fall into digital natives, nor did we appear in the senior faculty wherein they found managing these platforms challenging. So we kind of balanced it. Another mode that we did use was co-teaching. Use a senior faculty with a faculty who's pretty relatively new, and they would help each other to bridge the gap. So that was also one of the modes that we did use in class. Now, the platforms that we used largely in class were WebEx or Google Classroom, and submissions were usually on WebEx or Google Classroom. And we also did Google Meet. So these were the most familiar platforms that we worked with. One of the huge responsibilities was allocating activities every week for the class. We used to rely a lot on the library, and one of the problems that all of us faced were having to then depend on online platform. We so far, all of us discouraged children to going to online websites and taking material from it. We said it was plagiarism. We said don't do that. Go to the library and search for material. But then we ourselves came to a place wherein maybe JSTOR we could access, but more than that, the limited books that we have at home. After that, we also started looking for online material. So we felt a lot of guilt having to do that, but helpless. Another thing that also happened was netiquette, getting students to behave in class. They took it for granted that the teacher is the only one whose face is visible. We are not visible. So getting them to become serious in an online class took a little bit of time. It took a little bit of learning, but we did achieve it over a period of time. The other thing was, since it was an online mode at the very beginning, classroom participation was 40%. Students would not respond, even unmuting and speaking, they would not. And even if it was typing in the chat box, they would not. We had to encourage them to respond. Another huge issue that they faced was that I did experience in class was if one student types some response in the chat box and it's silly or they consider it silly, other classmates would start booing them. So there was literally, cyberbullying going on the chat box, which we had to stop. So the teacher had to constantly keep looking at the chat box to ensure that that does not happen, to reinforce every student that their answer is right, it's fine, it's good, which was challenging because talking and then looking at the chat box took a period of time to get used to. One more thing that happened that we found difficult was this paper deals with professional communication. So you have mostly activities as in meetings or discussions, negotiations. So these are usually cooperative learning, task-based. So in an online platform, initially it was little difficult to get students to cooperate with each other and work with it. But then we came up with breakout sessions and it did work. To a certain extent, it did work, but I must confess, not 100% successful, but better than nothing at all. So those breakout sessions sort of gave them some sort of focus, and the idea of not having everyone stare at them all the time worked a little bit well. Also, the time period, as I mentioned, an unusual 2 hours of talking posed that children got discouraged, or rather they got distracted. So we had to restructure the learning or material in every class, wherein every 20 minutes you give them something to do. Every 20 minutes you give them something to do. It took a lot of thinking for us, but it worked well, wherein students also began to remember a lot at the end of the class. When they left, they remembered a lot. So they were not dependent on, asking me what happened, am I right? They sort of, reinforced whatever they studied through those activities. Yes, moving on, they also had the idea that the teacher is not familiar with the online platform, so I could plagiarize. So we had to do thorough plagiarism checks, which was good for them and good for us. And also things that we then, I used to do was, if there were students, a batch of students from journalism, I would give them the primary source from journalism. Or if they were from media and media studies, I would give them the primary source from media studies. And from that, I would construct whatever language they have to learn, sort of, I don't know if I'm right, Lev Vygotsky, zone of proximal development, taking from where they already know to something that they don't know. Moreover, they were passionate about those subjects, their core subjects. So they responded well in the class. That seemed to work very well. And then I also shifted the responsibility to them to pick material and post it in the Google Classroom. So they have a sense of autonomy and authority, which did work well. However, we would have to filter and keep checking the quality of the material, how good they are for a classroom environment. The self-learning, the asynchronous session, we had to keep telling those students that you are responsible for it. That became a little difficult because in-class performance we had managed to tackle, give them activities, focus, maintain. But asynchronous, they began to relax. They began to take it easy. So we had to constantly tell them that you are autonomous, you are responsible for it. And that took some time, but students did come to it. And especially when it came to scoring during mid-semester examinations, etc., that was a wake-up call for them to respond equally well.
Christina, you'll have to be concluding. Yeah.
Oh my God, sir. There's one more presenter. Could you just spare 2 minutes?
Right. No, I thought you were doing it all alone because you had mentioned.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Bharat. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, quickly. Bharat?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm here.
Yeah. No, both of you went away. So.
Yes, sir.
quickly.
Shall I, sir, now?
Yeah, sure. I'm waiting.
Okay, sir. Okay. So I'll add on to what Christina ma'am was telling now. Like the scoring of, am I visible now?
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, sir,
Go
you have
ahead.
to put on camera.
Okay. So adding on to what ma'am was saying. Sorry. Just a minute, sir. The scoring of students in class failed the normal distribution, eliminating scores below average, which would put the onus of teachers for facilitating a curriculum that does not challenge a learner and does not give room for development. And then online students were actually dependent on the faculty members because the faculty members create every element in the class. And a lot of understanding went beyond verbal instruction and permeated into tools and activities, which is highly compromised in an online class at present environment and leaving many students not performing their best. And then the sense of autonomy had to be reinforced upon the students repeatedly to elicit coherence in submissions for portfolios. The technical resources came first, and student consideration in learning comes second, according to Steenborn and Meredith. And then the faculty members, faculty inevitably, but put technical resources familiar to them above all these. Teachers found the sudden switch to online mode left learners in below average category the most vulnerable. Now coming to students' difficulties in the online platform, for this study we have taken nearly 71 undergraduate learners, in which sample among them 48 are female participants and 23 are male participants. We have taken into consideration the cognitive and affective domain according to Bloom's taxonomy, the subject being the developing professional communication based on portfolio submission through Google Classroom. And students required the constant verbal contact from teacher throughout the synchronous session. They stated that in classes with a less vocal teacher, online learning became challenging. The video of a teacher being on while lecturing helped the students remember to relate to the concepts better. The better analogy that they gave was like having a WhatsApp number with a picture in it. Helps register the situation and content better. The assignment submission became difficult as access to library was restrained. Hence, they feared that the content would be a repetition of everyone else's. They maintained that online learning did not give them the space to exploit their full potential, as in taking their interviews, surveys for the portfolio submission. Students did confess to not experiencing the rigor that a normal classroom would have, partly because they are in a home environment. They mentioned the depravity of cooperative learning that otherwise is a large section of this curriculum. Hence, they missed the intellectual discourses that otherwise would have added to the improving their portfolio content. They also mentioned that being a portfolio submission worked on the advantage, as they were not forced to rethink end semester examination, but keep on to the already existing system. The assignment submission became difficult as access to library was restrained. Hence, they feared and then adding on last few points, and then however students anonymously vouched for the idea of blended class, the logistics to which need to be thoroughly thought through. Students also mentioned that the language learning, especially a paper that requires acquiring paralingual and soft skills, does not do justice in an online mode. They also stated that students, the assignments had become more demanding, assuming that they are millennials and working with software, etc. is easy. I'll finish with this, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you,
sir.
Bharat. So we had 3 papers, which brings us to the close of all the presentations. I'll just quickly summarize. I think 2 of these papers are more in the form of reports. One is hardcore research. I'll talk about the 2 reports first. Sherin, what he presented was largely a report of what are the things that are happening. Of course, there is a research element in this. I do not discount that. He has wonderful data about the internet penetration and the number of rural colleges and the private colleges, etc. But all that's only to build a context. Now, what was most interesting here is how the teaching of writing has become really a problematic thing, because copy paste is becoming more of a norm, particularly with the internet and lot of resources being available on the internet. I think this is a very valid point. And again, second thing that he mentioned was, which is worrisome, is the attitude of the learners towards English, thinking of English class as a place for relaxing, and English more as a hindrance, etc. And chat box, I think the excellent points that he made was the using 3 different strategies: quizzes as a platform, word wall. I think it is more like a Padlet. Probably it's more like a Padlet, spin wheel, and using the technique of radio jockey in the classroom. I think these are brilliant ideas to motivate the learners. Then we had, I'll come to Chelsea's presentation after I talk about Christine's. Christine and Bharat made a presentation on professional communication, developing professional communication. But there were a few contradictions, I thought, because Chelsea started saying that the entire thing was based on portfolio building and portfolio assessment. And again, when Bharat started talking about assignment submission, etc., I was a little confused. Probably I did not listen to one of them properly, perhaps. And I thought the Chelsea's point on netiquette is quite an interesting point of what it is that we need to teach as far as netiquette is concerned, and what's the type of language that we have to use, even while using email for official purposes. I have received some letters which are obnoxious. I wouldn't consider them as formal at all. But this is something that we need to teach our learners, which is part of netiquette. And the plagiarism check, which Chelsea talked about, and the strategy that she used to make she used to make the synchronous or the 2-hour session interactive, divided into 20-minute bits, is something worthwhile. Bharat supplemented whatever she was saying with talking about assessment patterns and the data that they have collected from 78 students, 48 girls and 23 boys, etc. I thought one of the major points that came up here in Bharat's presentation was how learners prefer cooperative learning, pair work, group work, etc. And when it's online learning, they feel deprived of it, and therefore most of them opted for blended learning. Coming to Chelsea's, I think it's a very, very recent, interesting topic on translanguaging. When I say it is recent, it's about 15 years ago that people started talking about translanguaging as a pedagogic strategy. When I just read, of course, I did it before listening to your presentation. When I saw bilingual pedagogy, I was a little shocked, because bilingual pedagogy and translanguaging cannot be equated, but your explanation came up properly, particularly when you depended on Ajit Mahanti, Cummins, and Kanagaraja, or the 3 major sociolinguists that we have today. I was also worried. I liked your definition of translanguaging as a dynamic bilingualism, and the parameters that you had for learners and for teachers as far as translanguaging is concerned, and the data you had was very interesting. I found that you had very narrow standard deviations and the means. I didn't see the raw scores. Only when I had seen the raw scores, probably this standard deviation and mean would make more meaning to me. But you gave the raw value, and whether there was any significance test of significance, I was not sure. But you gave the raw values, which is good. The purpose of using language 1 data, I think you had made it extremely well for group discussions, for assessment, for etc. And I was a little disturbed when you gave those 2 graphs from the teachers. For teaching using mother tongue is excellent, but for teaching using mother tongue during assessing, I thought that data was a little disturbing. Anyway, that's what your data throws up. I have no comments to make, but it's a beautiful research that you have done. If there are questions based on these 3 presentations, I think they are most welcome. And all the 3 are very interesting, and I may add a comment or 2 from my side when there are questions. Questions, please. We still have about 30 minutes. Has the auditorium, has the room become empty? I don't hear any voices.
The 19 members are there, sir.
No, we are here, sir. We are here.
No. I'm joking. You should know that, right? Questions, please. No questions, which means the presentations were extremely clear, absolutely clear. Chelsea, at what stage of PhD are you in?
Sir, I am into my 3rd year PhD, and I have just started my piloting. So this data I collected as part of my
pilot.
study.
This is a part of your pilot study.
Just a part, like it's not full data. I'm on the way. Like,
are you working with bright learners or deprived learners, marginalized learners?
Yeah, learners from low resource classrooms, like low SES background.
Yeah, that's where translanguaging works much better. Okay, not in the brighter circles, certainly not. Right, I'm very happy about that. And have you read comments? You said you have BICS and CALPS.
Yes, sir.
You must be familiar with BICS and CALPS, and that should help you in a big way. And also, I think Christina referred to Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. I think if she can go beyond zone of proximal development and talk about BICS and CALPS as far as her data analysis is concerned, and that would make it more interesting, in both the cases. Okay, because translanguaging largely depends on my comfort zone. Okay, that's what BICS refers to, basic interpersonal communication strategies. How do I feel comfortable as far as with my mother tongue, particularly while learning a new language? This is exactly what we have to think of. So Chelsea, all I can say now is just wish you all the best, because you have chosen excellent topic, and I'm sure you'll do extremely well. And someday I have an opportunity to go through your thesis. That's all I would wish for. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any other questions?
May I, sir?
Yes, please, Seema, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon, good evening, sir. And I don't have a question, but I want to make a comment, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, and it is regarding all the presenters, and it has been an extremely fantastic learning for me in group number 2. And Mohan sir, especially your deep analysis and with your sing-song voice is much an inspiration for me.
Thank you.
Really, thank you so much, sir.
Most welcome. Welcome. Any other question, comment? If there are no more questions, I think I have to thank all the presenters. We had only 9 presenters out of 11 that were allotted for us. Abhijit Naha made an excellent beginning, very wonderful presentation, followed by Alivelu Manga, followed by Asha. I was particularly appreciative of Asha and Ashwini as primary teachers. They presented real research work. I think both of them deserve to be congratulated. Both of them did extremely well, and the type of devotion, the type of commitment they have shown in their presentation, and the work which reflects the work they are doing, I think is worth appreciation. God bless all of you, and God bless Asha and Ashwini especially so. Okay, they coming from primary school teaching, bringing yourself to make a presentation here on a platform like this is commendable. Absolutely commendable. Others also, certainly you also deserve to be commended. Then we had Ashraf. Ashraf spoke extremely well. He was talking about the virtual classes and the efficacy, etc. And then we had Salome. I have known Salome for a pretty long time, and I have also been sort of involved in her research. So I will not say much about Salome, but Salome did an excellent presentation. Thank you, Salome, for that. Serene and Christina and Chelsea and Bharat, I have already talked about. Wish you all the best. I hope you will have a wonderful conference time here tomorrow as well. Tomorrow I'll not be there all through, but I'll be there at the end of the day. I'll be there, and I'll certainly look forward to meeting all of you in life rather than seeing you all virtually. Okay, and there are 2 or 3 of you from Hyderabad, and I am also from Hyderabad, and hope someday we will meet each other. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Congratulations to all the paper presenters.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm Abhijit Naha.
Thank you all others.
Sir, I'm Abhijit Naha. Convey my sincere thanks to you, sir. I'm Abhijit Naha. Convey my sincere thanks to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Shall we call it a day? Oh. Okay then. Bye all. Bye everyone. Have a nice good evening, and let's meet tomorrow. Thank you all.